I didn't expect her to recognize me. 50 years changes a person in more ways than mirrors ever reveal. When she sat down beside me, I felt 17 again. And then she asked me one question.
I didn't think I'd be nervous at 74. I thought by now I'd be past all that. The sweaty palms, the tightness in my chest, the way your heart can feel like it's trying to climb up out of your throat. But here I am, sitting in this coffee shop in Harrisburg, watching the door, and I feel like I'm 23 again. Except I'm not. My knees remind me of that every time I stand up. The place smells like burnt espresso and something sweet. Cinnamon rolls, maybe. It's one of those new places that tries to look old, with exposed brick and Edison bulbs hanging from the ceiling. Everything's loud. The hiss of the milk steamer, people talking over each other, that constant clatter of cups and spoons. I picked a table in the back corner. Didn't want to be right in the middle of everything when she walked in. If she walks in. My coffee's getting cold. I take a sip anyway. It tastes like nothing, really. My hands are shaking a little, and I grip the cup tighter to steady them. I've been waiting 17 minutes. I know because I keep checking my watch, the same Timex I've worn for 30 years. Margaret used to say I should get a new one, something nicer, but I never saw the point. It tells time. That's all a watch needs to do. Margaret, my wife of 46 years. She's been gone 3 years now. Pancreatic cancer. 4 months from diagnosis to the end. She never complained much, not even at the worst of it. That was Margaret. Steady, reliable, good. We had a good life together. 2 kids, 4 grandchildren, a mortgage we paid off in 2009. We took a trip to Myrtle Beach every summer for 20 years. She liked to collect shells. Our garage still has boxes of them. I loved Margaret. I need to say that clearly, even if it's just to myself. I loved her the way you love someone who's been beside you through everything. The way you love morning coffee and the sound of rain on the roof. Comfortable, safe, real. But she wasn't Elizabeth. Elizabeth's email came 6 weeks ago. I still don't know how she found me. Maybe through the internet. Everyone can find everyone now. Or maybe through someone we both knew back then. Though most of those people are dead or too old to remember much of anything. The subject line just said, "Is this you?" And I knew before I even opened it. I don't know how I knew, but I did. She said she was going to be in the area. Her daughter lives in Carlisle now, about 20 minutes from here, and wondered if I might want to meet for coffee. Just to catch up, see how life turned out. Nothing heavy. That's what she wrote. Nothing heavy. I stared at that email for 2 days before I replied. My daughter Susan saw me looking at the computer one afternoon and asked if I was okay. I told her I was fine, just some spam I couldn't figure out how to delete. I'm not a good liar, never have been, but Susan didn't push it. I should have told her the truth. I should have said, the woman I was going to marry 50 years ago just contacted me and I don't know what to do. But how do you say something like that out loud? How do you explain to your daughter that before her mother, before everything, there was someone else, someone you never quite forgot? It was 1974 when Elizabeth and I met. I was working at the steel plant in Bethlehem doing shift work, saving money. She was taking classes at the community college, wanted to be a teacher, elementary school. We met at a 4th of July picnic. Her friend knew my cousin. She was wearing a yellow sundress, and she laughed at something I said. I don't even remember what. But I remember thinking I wanted to make her laugh like that again. We dated for 2 years. I gave her my grandmother's ring on Christmas Eve, 1975, in her parents' living room, with that big tree in the corner and Bing Crosby playing on the record player. She said yes. We were going to get married the following October. She'd already picked out the church. And then my father had his first heart attack in March of 1976. He survived it, but barely. The doctor said he couldn't work anymore, couldn't do much of anything, really. My mother was a wreck. My younger brother was still in high school. Someone had to step up, keep things going, pay the bills. That someone was me. I was the oldest. It was what you did. I started working double shifts, weekends, overtime whenever I could get it. I was exhausted all the time, but we needed the money. My father's medical bills were piling up. My mother couldn't manage it alone. And Elizabeth, she was patient at first. She understood. But weeks turned into months, and I kept canceling plans, kept pushing the wedding back, kept saying just a little longer, just until things settled down. Except things didn't settle down. My father had another heart attack in June, smaller this time, but it scared everyone. And Elizabeth, she started talking about maybe moving to Pittsburgh where her sister lived, where there might be better opportunities for both of us, a fresh start. But I couldn't leave. How could I leave? My family needed me. My father was dying, though we didn't say it that way back then. We said he was managing, or doing okay, all things considered. But we all knew. I told Elizabeth I couldn't go to Pittsburgh. I told her I had to stay. And she asked me when. When would I be able to put us first? When would there be time for our life together? I didn't have an answer. We fought. Not screaming or anything like that. Worse. Quiet, tired fighting where you both know what's coming, but you keep talking anyway. She said she couldn't keep waiting. She said she needed to know I was choosing her, choosing us, not just choosing duty and responsibility and whatever my family needed that week. I said I was doing the best I could. I said she wasn't being fair. She cried. I'd never seen her cry like that before. Not pretty crying, but the kind that makes your whole body shake. She took off my grandmother's ring and put it on the coffee table between us. I can't do this, Tom, she said. I love you, but I can't live like this. I didn't stop her. I watched her walk out, and I sat there on that couch looking at the ring, and I told myself I'd made the right choice. Family first. That's what you do. That's what a man does. My father died 7 months later, 2 days before Thanksgiving. I'd tried to find Elizabeth after the funeral, called her parents' house, but they said she'd moved. Pennsylvania, they thought, or maybe Ohio. They weren't sure. This was before cell phones, before the internet, before you could just look someone up in 10 seconds. You lost people back then, and sometimes they stayed lost. I met Margaret in 1978 at a church social. She was a secretary at the hospital, never been married, wanted kids. She was kind. She laughed easily. She didn't make me feel like I'd failed at something important just by existing. We got married in 1979. Small ceremony. I didn't think about Elizabeth during the wedding. I didn't let myself. That part of my life was over, and I was starting something new, something good. Margaret deserved that. And it was good. I mean that. We had a good marriage. She was a wonderful mother. She kept the house running, remembered everyone's birthdays, organized the photo albums. When the plant closed in 1991 and I was out of work for 8 months, she never once made me feel like less of a man. She just said we'd figure it out, and we did. But sometimes, not often, but sometimes, I'd be driving home from work or sitting in church or watching TV late at night when I couldn't sleep, and I'd think about Elizabeth. I'd wonder where she was, if she was happy, if she ever thought about me. I'd wonder what our life would have looked like if I'd chosen differently, if I'd been braver or weaker or just different somehow. Margaret never knew. I made sure of that. It wouldn't have been fair to her. The door opens and I look up, heart pounding, but it's just a couple of college kids with backpacks. I check my watch again. 24 minutes now. Maybe she's not coming. Maybe she changed her mind. Maybe this whole thing was a terrible idea and she realized it before I did. I almost hope that's true. But then the door opens again, and this time it's her. I know her immediately, even though 50 years have passed. Even though her hair has gone silver and she's smaller than I remember. Not shorter, but thinner, more fragile somehow. Even though there are lines around her eyes and mouth that weren't there before. I know her. I'd know her anywhere. She sees me and she smiles, tentative, uncertain, and I stand up too fast, my knees protesting against the floor. Everything in my body is screaming that I'm too old for this, but I'm standing anyway, and she's walking toward me, and I don't know what to do with my hands. "Tom," she says, and her voice is exactly the same. That's the thing that gets me. Her voice hasn't changed at all. "Elizabeth," my voice cracks a little, which is embarrassing, but she doesn't seem to notice. "You look good," she says, which is a lie. I look like a 74-year-old man who's had 2 knee replacements and takes too many medications, but I appreciate the lie. "So do you," I say, which isn't a lie at all. She does look good. Different, older, but still her. Still Elizabeth. We stand there for a moment, and then she laughs, nervous, awkward, and says, "Should we sit?" Right, yes, of course. I pull out her chair like some kind of idiot from a different century, but she smiles like she thinks it's sweet, so maybe it's okay. I sit back down, she orders coffee from a kid who comes by, just black, nothing fancy, and then it's just us, and 50 years, and I don't know where to start. "Your email surprised me," I say, which is possibly the stupidest thing I could have started with. I debated sending it, actually for weeks. I thought maybe it was selfish or strange to reach out after all this time. "I'm glad you did." She looks at me, really looks at me, and for a second I'm 23 again, sitting across from her in some other coffee shop that doesn't exist anymore, thinking I'd never met anyone so beautiful in my entire life. "I heard about Margaret," she said softly. "I'm sorry, truly. How did you—" "I looked you up on Facebook. Your daughter posts about you sometimes." "I didn't know that. Susan posts about me?" I make a mental note to ask her about that later, then realize that's insane. I'm sitting here with Elizabeth after 50 years, and I'm thinking about Facebook. "She was a good woman, Margaret. We had a good life." "I'm glad." And she means it. I can tell she means it. "What about you? Did you?" "Married for 31 years. He died 5 years ago. Heart attack. Very sudden." "I'm sorry." She nods. "David was a good man, a high school principal. We had 3 kids, 2 girls and a boy, 6 grandchildren now." We talk for a while about safe things, our children, our grandchildren, the places we've lived, the jobs we've had. She stayed in education, taught 4th grade for 33 years before retiring. She lived in Ohio for a while, then Michigan, finally back to Pennsylvania about 10 years ago to be closer to her daughter. I told her about the plant closing, about the years I spent working at the hardware store after that, about retirement and fishing, and how I don't really know what to do with myself most days. It's all very polite, very surface, like we're strangers catching up at a high school reunion. And maybe that's all we are now, strangers who used to know each other in a different lifetime. But then she says, "Do you remember the 4th of July when we met? You told me that joke about the firework and the banana, and I laughed so hard I snorted." And just like that, we're not strangers anymore. "You were so embarrassed," I say, smiling at the memory. "I was mortified. I thought you'd never talk to me again." I thought it was the best thing I had ever heard. She laughs, and it's the same laugh from 50 years ago, and something in my chest cracks open a little.